This is a 58 million polygon photogrammetry model that I've created in Metashape. I basically used a Panasonic GH6 with its 100 megapixel mode and took a small number of pictures, only 19, and was able to create a very, very detailed photogrammetry model from that. And you can see, let's look at the solid shaded here. You can see all the detail better. So this is fantastic for getting baked textures from if you want to get some kind of ground cover. There's a lot of detail. But this is a tutorial put out by Adobe about pebbles, materials, and minutes with Substance Sampler. And it's only 4 minutes and 38 seconds. And I watched through this tutorial and I was pretty impressed with the results. So I went ahead and did an experiment to say, hey, is this better than the Substance material? Okay, well, let's take a look at what we got here. So I want to go ahead and show you what I did in Photoshop. I took one of the images and I cropped it so it was square. And if we look at this size, you can see it's quite large. It's larger than 8K. So this was a fantastic way to start. I used this for the Substance Sampler so that it would have, a fighting chance against the photogrammetry as far as resolution goes. Since the resolution is 100 megapixel in the photogrammetry, I wanted them to be similar. All right, so we jump back to here. Basically what I did was I just made a plane and I baked all of my maps out from that plane and the normal occlusion, displacement, diffusion. I made the actual roughness in Substance Designer and then exported that out. I used a few of the maps that I had created from this. So let's go ahead and let's jump into Marmoset here. I'm going to show you these two materials. Can you tell which one is which? And that is a good question, because looking at these, it's maybe not quite clear which one is from which. I can go ahead and move the colors around, move the lighting around, I mean. And when you look at these, I don't know if it's quite apparent. Okay, I've got two materials in here. They're both set up exactly the same. And I've just got a little bit of a height map on it. And both of these look good. They're both tiled. I actually tiled the photogrammetry model textures in Sampler, so it would basically be tiled in the same program as well. Hard to tell, right? Let's look at these side by side. So come here and look at our two images here. All right. This one is from Substance Sampler. This one is baked from Metashape. And you can tell the one baked from Metashape definitely has more directionality to it. The planes and the colors of those planes are definitely showing more than this. However, as we already saw, it's hard to tell the difference. Let's go back and look at a couple of the other things that we're getting out of here. Here's a height map. This for sure is definitely better fidelity. If anybody's created a lot of height maps before, they would notice that looks a lot better than this. But as I said previously, it's hard to tell. This is just a regular old color map that I output. Substance actually did a nice job at trying to canceling all the ambient occlusion, which I probably should have done a second pass for this to make it to get rid of a lot of that darkness, but I didn't, so I just left it alone. I wanted to show the difference of what Substance was doing. Let's look at some of the other maps. Let's look at the roughness map that I created. So here's the roughness map that I created, and here's the one that was put out by Substance Sampler. So both of them work fine. I think mine's a little bit better. But that's because it was hand done. So let's look at the last thing, which would be the ambient occlusion. There it is. So the ambient occlusion here, and I think there's no doubt that Substance will probably, I mean, it's still good, but it's gonna lose when it comes to like the details and the ambient occlusion. But is it good enough? And I think that's the question. After doing this tutorial, maybe it took me about 10 minutes to go through all the steps, and doing all the steps for the photogrammetry, I would have to say that in my final results, it's so hard to tell the difference between these two that I'm not sure it makes sense for a material like this to do it in photogrammetry like this. Now, I'm not saying that this is better. I'm just saying that you can't really tell the difference that much. So I'm going to go ahead and say that because of the time that it took to do this particular material versus this one, I'm going to call the Substance Sampler the winner. I know there's more fidelity in this, for sure. There's a few more steps I probably should have done, but I just was doing an experiment. But, we're talking about 10 minutes versus, a couple hours of processing time and doing a few extra steps. So I'm going to go ahead and just leave this one out there as you decide. What do you think? There's other types of materials where I could definitely say that photogrammetry is going to win. You're not going to be able to get the fidelity from Sampler. It's not going to be able to read the texture as well. But the AI generated information that's coming out of Sampler is pretty impressive. And I just wanted to show this so people could realize that there's a lot of capabilities there. Okay, thanks for watching. Have a good one.